I'm going to go out and say it that this is the best depiction of tackling a mental health conversation that Marvel has ever accomplished.
What's up, everybody? We're Fandom Fix. I'm Austin, and that's Ty. And today we're talking about Thunderbolts, or should I say, the new Avengers. This movie is getting a lot of buzz out there. And honestly, Ty, it's been a long time since I've seen a Marvel movie get this much positive buzz, especially just with Phase 4 and just the lackluster TV shows we've been getting. A lot of people are calling this movie the best Marvel movie since Endgame. I think the question here is why is this movie getting such positive buzz? What are people resonating with? Even Bob Iger, Disney CEO, said they are reframing their strategy to make things better quality versus just the quantity of things they're pushing out. So, why did Thunderbolts do so well? I believe it's because of the grounded story and the mental health aspect that they brought to the table here with all of our favorite characters. And so, let's talk about this. Let's dive in. Let's talk about just the in-depth aspect of these characters and the struggles that they had and why this is resonating with people like you and me all over the world.
Yeah, Austin, I'm going to go out and say it that this is the best depiction of tackling a mental health conversation that Marvel has ever accomplished, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They took it to a level that we've never seen before, and I loved it. As we all know, in life, we as human beings, we're all searching for purpose, for meaning. These characters were searching for purpose, for meaning. Yelena was literally depressed. I mean, they show her depressed. She's going through the motions. She's just kind of going through the merry-go-round of life where she's just searching for meaning and searching for different things to fill that void. And they talk about the void, literally. And there's a physical place called the void in this movie, but there is a void in all of our souls if we don't have it filled with the right thing. Yeah. So you can have different idols in your life and you can have different things that fill your life, but until you fill it with the right thing, it's never going to satisfy you. And in this movie, all of these B-list Avengers were searching for meaning. You know, we got a super soldier that was Captain America for a brief time. And then he gets kicked out, and then he loses his wife, he loses his daughter, and he's like, what do I do now? And then we got another super soldier who used to be this famous, acclaimed person that got cheered and revered, and then all of a sudden he's driving limos for a living, and he's like, what happened with my life? And then you got Yelena, who did all these terrible things as a young kid and was exposed to horrible, horrible things like some kids are exposed to in real life and are forced to do things that they never want to do or never should have had to do at that young of an age. And she's reliving those things. And then you got Bob, who literally has an alter ego or basically himself on the inside, the evil side of him or the negative side of him. And it's such a depiction of good and evil in the world that is real. This is real, everyone. This is not just Marvel. This is not just Hollywood. This is real life. There is good and there is evil, and we as Christians will take it to the next level and say, like, there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's Jesus, and there's Satan, there's demons, and there's angels, and there's spiritual warfare that's going on. And I'm not going to shy away from that this resonated with me and probably so many other people because they are dealing with the lies from the enemy every single day saying, you are not good enough. Yeah. You are not good enough. You are not worthy. You should not even be here. Why are you here? And so I think this is resonating with so many people that struggle with anxiety. They struggle with depression. You know, these are real things that real people go through. And I thought that it was depicted really well. I mean, literally, Yelena literally tells her father, I needed you and you weren't there. And she has no purpose. And you can see, I mean, the acting in that scene when she's talking to her dad before the final act, before they fight for the last time, was powerful to me.
Mhm.
I mean, that was super powerful. She's
Yeah.
searching and she's torn. And that resonates, I'm sure, with so many people in real life that are going through that on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think that's why that scene at the end was so powerful when Red Guardian thought Yelena walked into the void and died,
Mm.
because it was like she was giving up. And honestly, the audience kind of had that same feeling of like, what is she about to do? Because that's before we knew the void had like a internal thing. And I mean, it was a good framework for how the movie opened too, because the first shot of the movie pretty much is Yelena sitting on top of that building, and there's a monologue about my life is nothing basically, and what am I doing? And then she kind of jokes and is just like, or maybe it's just maybe I'm just bored. But at the end of the day, she was feeling depressed, lost with the loss of Natasha. She didn't know what was going on. She was just a contract for hire. She she just didn't know where she was going. And every single one of these heroes, because I think they do become heroes by the end of it, they were dealing with something traumatic. And I think it was a perfect framework, honestly, for Marvel to do this, because what's the last big thing that happened in the Marvel universe? Yeah, a lot has happened since Endgame, but honestly, nothing substantial. The last big thing was the snap, and everybody disappeared. Ever since then, everyone's been dealing with the aftermath of that. So if you think about it from a just reality, if that happened in real world, devastating, tragedy, loss, trauma, all those things, that's what every single one of these characters are dealing with up until this point. And the snap had something to do with it. And then also just like the way that the Avengers disappeared and people trying to step up and chaos happening in the world, they all ended up in this place to where they have to wrestle and deal with this traumatic stuff to be able to become the hero that they're supposed to be. And it's the same thing with us in life. And I think so many people can resonate because, like, regardless of, what aspect of life you're in or background you have, whether you actually believe in God or not, we are all dealing with a spiritual war and with things between our ears right here. And so that ending when they went into the void and they were seeing Bob's alter ego or the actual void, I mean, like, all you could see was this dark thing and then like two shiny eyes and like a smile. And that impacted me because it was like it kind of hit home in terms of this, like, it had this like demonic element to it, to where you're just like sitting there watching, you're like, shoot, like he's lying to himself. The enemy of him, his enemy, whether this movie was saying that it was himself or a spiritual element, like that demonic side was lying to him to try to get him to stay in the void, trying to get him to stay in his depression and his trauma and his issues, because that's what that darkness does. It tries to
Mm-hmm.
keep you built down so you won't reach the light. You won't reach your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what this movie was. They banded together because they realized that they weren't going to get out of this cycle that they were in unless they actually tackled and overcame that darkness. And you saw what happened when they did that. They all kind of just like had a freedom to them to where they can move forward as heroes and realize that, like, hey, we're actually better together and we're actually more fulfilled when we help people and we're there for one another. And so that's what was so cool about this movie, because it wasn't even this like giant grand action movie compared to other Marvel movies. It was more just about dealing with the struggles that these characters were having and how to get them out of those things. Um, and I think because we're normal humans watching extraordinary people on screen, that's the best way to get the audience to resonate with those characters, is saying, hey, these, I mean, yeah, they're make believe characters, but hey, they have the same struggles and the same internal demons that you do, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all human, and the world wants us to be divided. But at the end of the day, we all deal with the same thing. We're all on the same playing field. And there's a spiritual war going on there, that whether or not you realize it or not. And I think that's why this movie's doing so well, is because um, everyone can watch that movie and be like, oh yeah, there's been a time in my life that I've dealt with something like that, or I felt like that, or I thought that, or I'm dealing with that right now. And this actually maybe can help me realize that I can get out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to point out the fact, and you touched on this, but it wasn't until they took the emphasis off of themselves and stopped believing the lie and banded together and realized that we're better together. So they realized, hey, we're not alone. So when you realize, hey, I have a community, or I'm not alone, that helps. But then they took the emphasis off of themselves and stopped thinking so internally and started thinking about others. And when they took the emphasis off themselves and started focusing on other people, and it became bigger than just them, they found their purpose. They're
Yeah.
like, hey, this is our purpose, and we have to do it together. And that's why at the end she's like, Bob, you're coming with us. Like, hey, you're coming with us. Like, I think that's so special, and it preaches to us in real life. Like, we are better together. For those of you that feel like you are alone, that you don't have friends, that you don't have anybody that cares about you, that's not true. Don't believe the lie that you are alone. You are not alone. Um,
Sure.
you're never alone, and it literally says in the Bible that we should take those thoughts captive, and every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So like we literally should demolish those thoughts.
Yeah.
So those lies that come, those are lies. That's not truth.
Yeah.
It's supposed to deceive. And this movie, I thought, did an incredible depiction of the lies that we're told on a daily basis. And you can choose to believe the lie, and
Yeah.
you can choose to wrestle with the lie like Bob did, and you can stay in the void basically forever if you don't surrender and destroy those thoughts
Yeah.
and take the emphasis off of you and start focusing on others, and then that kind of gives you your purpose.
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
I thought it was incredible, man.
yeah, I mean, we live in a world that is constantly pushing us to honestly feed that void, and we don't even realize it.
Oh yeah.
And I think whether or not Marvel actually intended this, I mean, they intended it for be a mental health thing, but from a grander situation and a spiritual situation, because I know Marvel wasn't thinking in terms of Jesus and the
No,
Bible,
of
but
course not.
at the end of the day, like I said, everybody deals with that same thing, and most people don't even know how to actually deal with it. And mental health is such a big thing in our world, and it's gotten worse because nobody actually knows how to deal with the things internally and the larger crisis at play. And it starts by taking a step of realizing I can't do this alone,
Mm-hmm.
and actually realizing that those are lies, like you said. Too often we think that those things are actually us telling ourselves that, and that they're actually true. We don't see them as external forces that are trying to destroy us.
Yep.
And that's what was happening here with Bob and the rest of them. And so I really appreciated that it ended up being where they came out of that and that journey. And yeah, Valentina at the end, she manipulated the situation and made them the new Avengers. But at the end of the day, that's just going to make them stronger. And you saw in the post-credit scene, I mean, we all know they're going to be in Avengers Doomsday. These are our new heroes, at least some of them. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll appreciate it more now that we know that they've overcome something instead of just being slapped with a moniker. So,
Exactly. No, I'm very, very excited to see where these characters go in the next few films, and I hope that we get to see a heavy dose of them in the future.
yeah, for sure. Well, we would love to know what you think out there about Thunderbolts. Did you appreciate this message of mental health? Did it resonate with you? Let us know in the comments of just how it touched you or how it resonated, or what are the things that you took away from this movie? Or do you think we're just full of crap and you didn't get that at all? We would love to know what your favorite parts were. So let us know in the comments down below. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another Marvel video from us. But until next time, we're Fandom Fix. See you.